All right, it's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And Olamide as well as Nelson are standing by to bring us up to speed. Good morning, Olamide. Good morning, Nelson.
Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning, Ibrahim. Good morning, Veronica. I'm loving the blue theme today. I think you guys have dark blue on.
You have a shade of it.
We have light blue here. I think that signifies peace. We come in peace this morning.
All right. Take it away then.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the newspaper review segment right here on TVC Breakfast. It's a midweek edition of the show, and a lot is happening on the national dailies. And as usual, we will begin with the Nation newspaper, celebrating the life and times of Edwin Clark, the Nigerian hero who has gone now to be with the Lord. Olamide, it's a sad day for our country, but we're celebrating the man who has contributed his quota to strengthening democracy in this country.
Right. I like the word you used. He has, contributed his own quota in this country. I mean, Edwin Clark was widely respected for his commitment to the development of the Niger Delta region.
Especially.
Ijaw people, to be specific. And, with his, contribution, we've seen a level of development in that region. A few months ago, I mean, there were meetings generally as to what more can be done to ensure that people in that region get the benefits and not just, outsiders. So it's good. May his soul rest in peace. And this is also, a call to action for Nigerians, for us as well, too, that, time is not on anyone's side. Time will not stop for anyone.
Indeed.
And so contribute your own quota to the nation, to your families and those around you. And of course, you'll be remembered for that.
Indeed. And something right there, CBN access bank chiefs with toxic loans. We need to keep the regulations coming to ensure that our banks fall in line to do what is right. But something right there, anxiety in Osun as police confirm 6 dead in violence. But I don't understand exactly why this would be the case. We're seeing a lot of insecurity reports of late, and this is something we need to look into and ensure that it is not sustained. Right. But that's where we will leave it for the Nation this morning.
Which will take us to the first newspaper. I mean, there is a story that, attracted my attention. A statement actually made by, the governor of Rivers State, who says Nebuchadnezzar's era over in Rivers State. Now, I'm wondering what that means. Of course, we'll be expecting the governor to clarify that more, for us. And the headlines there, CBN to banks, expose dormant account on claimed funds now. There is a lot of investigation on banks currently, as we have seen. And something on the nameplate, Edo Assembly passes a death penalty for kidnapping offenders. Nelson, that's a good one from the Edo Assembly. So many persons will probably context that it's just kidnapping. But with the rate of, kidnapping and all of that,
kidnapping
the effect it has on families and all of that,
exactly,
I think it's a big issue.
I mean, people are, thrown into pain. For instance, we took a story last week, I think, some persons who were kidnapped in, I think, Plateau,
and had to
on the 27th of December. And they escaped in February.
They escaped. They were not released.
Exactly. So how did their family feel for those 2 months? So if a Edo State government is saying, if you kidnap, you'd be hanged, I think it's a good way to go. So to deter anybody who is thinking of that in the first place. And
something that takes us to the bottom of the first newspaper, which says we have not imported PMS in 2025. That's the NNPCL. Quoted as saying.
The year is still young.
The year is still young. We're still in February, to make that statement. But we'll leave that there. That's what we have on the first newspaper.
And the Nigerian Tribune is our next paper this morning. Something at the top nameplate right there. MBS explains why Nigeria's inflation rate falls to 24.48% after rebasing. Well, we hope that it keeps falling until every Nigerian can see the effect of the fall with much food on their table and plenty money in their pockets. Bank directors with non-performing insider loans to resign. CBN orders. And a little bit of something on the Southwest. Governors will give Adebanjo a befitting funeral. This is quoting the governor of Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu, right there. And Jonathan kicks against development or deployment of military personnel for elections. Say only police and INEC should manage future elections. Well, we're still discussing that, and I'm sure everyone would fall in line. But that'll be it for the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
And the next will be the Leadership newspaper. And the big story here says NAS amends 2025 budget over leadership allocation errors. Recurrent expenditure now 13.58 billion, 558 trillion naira, 23.4398 trillion naira for capital budgets, and defense, NSA, police, information orders affected. But there's something at the top of the Leadership newspaper. 789 ex-Boko Haram fighters undergoing rehabilitation. That the Chief of Defense Staff saying there. I mean, Nelson, there have been, questions as to, how these persons are utilized after the rehabilitation. While rehabilitation is also, going on in the prisons, putting them to good use after this process has, ended.
Very important, because an idle hands.
Very important. And so rather than making them idle and probably making them tools in the hands of persons that want to take advantage of them, we should be strategic to ensure that they're utilized for the use of the country.
Indeed.
And something on the bottom of the Leadership, which says Boko Haram US to audit aid funds to Nigeria.
Oh, well.
Well, but that's what we have on the Leadership newspaper.
The Salient Times is our next paper this morning. There's something at the top nameplate of the Salient Times which really struck my attention. Most sexually active woman reveals she's ready to settle down after sleeping with 600 men in 2024. I am wondering exactly what's going to be different
Nelson,
now.
you just had to start the paper with that. I mean, you could see the inflation story there, but you decided to pick that. And, this brings the question whether Nelson is actually ready to settle down now, since we have a candidate.
But certainly not with her. But at the bottom of the Salient Times, again, encomiums on Pa Clark, Tinubu, the president, former presidents Obasanjo, others lament depleting of nations' patriotic leaders. It's a sad one right there. But that's where we will leave it for the Salient Times.
Which would then take us to the Blueprint newspaper. And on the Blueprint newspaper this morning, it says that Nigeria's inflation rate drops to 24.48% after CPI rebasing. Clark's exit, a sobering loss to Nigeria, the president is quoted as saying. Something on the bottom of the Blueprint newspaper. NAPTIP intercept 13 Iraq-bound girls, rescues 11 others from Abuja hotel. That's human trafficking.
Exactly.
I think we saw that on another paper, which was, quoting NAPTIP trying their best to, rescue some of these girls from,
For me, first of all, kudos to NAPTIP, for doing their job. But Iraq-bound?
I'm not going to talk to you about that. But, I mean, when you're trying your best to look for greener pastures, I do not know the context or what agreements they had. But, I mean, going through the legal means cannot be underrated. Going through illegal means, going through the desert and all of that, I don't think it's really great for Nigerians, irrespective of what you're looking for. But that's what we have on the Blueprint newspaper.
And the Punch will be our next paper to look at this morning with a header. Workers in 109 embassies groan over 6 months on paid salaries. Ministry promises to clear arrears, ex-envoys kick. Okay, we'll be looking at that story to tell you exactly how that happened. And something at the bottom of the Punch right there. Oshun crisis. Police go after killers. LG poll holds on Saturday. Again, we're still calling for peace in Oshun State so that governance can be delivered. But that is where we will let it for the punch.
And the next will be a daily monitor. Tinubu committed to transparency, sustainable growth in the oil and gas industry. Komalafe is quoted as saying, links the recent crude oil production surge to Tinubu's dexterity navigating Nigeria's economic landscape. Something on the bottom of a daily monitor. Nobody can suspend or expel me from the People's Democratic Party for saying the truth. Wabera insists.
Okay.
But that's what we have on our daily monitor this morning.
The Nigerian News Direct is our next direct paper this morning. We see here, Carrie Flays, substandard fuel, allegations vow to take legal action. Defense fuel importation as global industry practice. You know, there's a lot of conversation around why the NNPCL should still be involved in importation of fuel, but that's a conversation for another day. And one thing at the top nameplate right there, Benue Assembly moves to remove Chief Judge over Electoral Law Directive. The court always plays a role in Nigeria's election, and standing for what is true is what we need these days. But that's what we'll let it for the Nigerian News Direct.
And next will be the Platform Times. Nigeria to pay 100,000 naira, 200,000 naira penalties for electricity meter bypass. That's the NERC saying there. And something on the top of the Platform Times, which says politicians will act better when Nigerians reject bad behavior. That's another, subject of, conversation. And that statement was made by former President Goodluck Jonathan. National Assembly is reviewing the 2025 budget, also redefining capital expenditure by 500 billion naira.
Now, I don't know why they have to, review it again. It's been passed.
Right. Well, I mean, before this is disbursed and all of that, I think there still can be, changes made along the line. It should be an ongoing thing. But that's what we have on the Platform Times.
The New Telegraph is our next paper with the header right there, 40% of Benue farmlands taken by bandits. This is quoting lawmakers. A conversation around insecurity, and Benue is a food basket of the nation. If the farms from where, the food is coming from is under siege by bandits, we will be having a number of troubles, and we need to fix that right away. There's something right here. This story has been around for quite a while, but the Vatican is saying Pope Francis has pneumonia in both lungs. He's been hospitalized for a while now, and this is the Vatican now. They don't know exactly what the issue really is. We pray the Pope will be well and back to service. That will be it for the New Telegraph.
The Hope newspaper. The Hope newspaper is starting with something, quite, will I say, tragic. Police officer wife matched each other to death in Ekiti. Very sad. We found their corpses in the pool of their blood. The neighbors were the one that actually, found them, made that statement. That's a sad one there. We also saw another story where the wife also took the husband to court, saying that the husband also attempted to pour petrol on her. This brings up the question of, marriages, credibility, so to speak, of some marriages at this time. This
was in court. She made that statement, isn't it? I mean, the right place to even take that too, but for her to make that statement, did that really happen? Because planning to use fuel on you, I mean, I don't understand.
We've seen cases like that anyways. It's not actually, something new. It's just, questioning some marriages that we see and, the benchmark, I would say, of some persons, coming together. But let's leave that for them. That's what we have on the paper of the Hope.
The Daily Trust will be our next paper this morning. And there's a very bold story on the Daily Trust right here with our president on it. Historic relief. President Tinubu wipes out long outstanding pensions backlog. Remember, this was about 3 weeks ago when the federal government, gave a nod to all of this. It's a win for the Tinubu-led administration to have taken into consideration the pains of Nigerians who have served this country in different capacities, and to be owed for a number of years, having to queue and come back with nothing, some dropping dead and all of that. And so it's a good one, and we truly celebrate what the government have done. That is where I'll let it for the Daily Trust.
And talking about, celebration, which will take us to Daily Independent to see a picture story there of the former secretary to the government of the Federation, the senior advocate of Nigeria, Attorney General of the Federation and others, commissioning the NDLEA barracks in Yola, Adamawa State on Tuesday. Something on the right of Daily Independent, reps probe INEC over delay in conduct of by-elections. Tinubu, Ibori, Jonathan Atiku, Northern Southern governors, Man Edwin Clark. That's what we have on Daily Independent this morning. And quickly,
this Nigeria is our next paper with this very strong header, flush out fake drugs. Syndicates as rep blows very hot, raise concern over rebranding of expired of expired drugs. That's a strong concern. Altering expiry dates, production of fake medications being circulated to unsuspecting Nigerians. This is sad. NAFDAC, under Professor Mejusola, is also at the forefront of this. We saw some weeks ago NAFDAC burning down some, companies who are manufacturing fake drugs and other fake products. And so again, this is a conversation for them. But this should not be allowed to continue. That'll be it for this Nigeria.
Of course, that should not be allowed to, first in the first place. But that takes us to Sporting Life finally this morning. And we see, Boniface among Leverkusen's top 5 earners, 8 billion naira per season. I think we should be looking into football at this time. Charlie to watch Ahmed Musa Kano Pillars. Victor Osimhen is our savior. Kaka is saying, it says the Nigerian architect of win against Resespo asks fans, all pray for Super Eagle striker. We've been seeing a lot of, Boniface and Osimhen. But that's what we have on the Sporting Life this morning.
And that's how we will wrap up the Newspaper Review segment this morning. Veronica and Ibrahim, there's something here that we have been calling on for the last few weeks. And finally, we saw that the federal government had given the nod to the backlog of pensions that was being owed to our fathers and mothers in this country. I think it's a good one that the federal government has finally done that. Veronica and Ibrahim, what do you think?
Absolutely. It's a good step in the right direction, or a step in the right direction. We know how often a time these people queue to get their pensions, and some of them in the process pass out, some die, but it's good to see that there is a backlog. The backlog has been paid. We hope that this will be the end to, owing them that much. Pay them as the month ends.
The federal government has done it. What about the subnationals? What are they doing? Because I can remember growing up, then as a kid, used to follow my dad to one of those banks to, collect his pensions, because he was a pensioner before he became late. So I would say there's no way you pay, you work for this country, you work for the government, and then at the end of the day, you struggle to get your what do we call it? Your gratuity, your pension, and all of this. So, good step in the right direction. Let the states also follow in this direction.
Take a cue. All right. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Ola.